The March 2021 safety video is going to be on what happens when MIOSHA arrives. So we're going to talk about when they show up, what to expect, and our policies and procedures behind that. Also, we're going to go over and review the COVID-19 policies and procedures, and we will follow it up and conclude the presentation with COVID-19 vaccine information. So a question you might ask yourself when a MIOSHA enforcement officer arrives is, why are they there? So if they drive by and they see imminent danger, that will give them probable cause to go and conduct an inspection and see if they are able to find any findings. Also, if there is a fatality or a mass catastrophe that occurs on a job site, that will give them jurisdiction to conduct an inspection. Also, complaint or referrals. So if anyone calls into MIOSHA and says that a company is doing something unsafe, they're creating a public safety hazard, or even an employee at the company feels that something is unsafe and that an enforcement officer is requested on site to do an inspection, they will do so. Targeted inspections. So when there is a series of fatalities or significant events that happen, say with excavations, that will cause targeted inspections. So if an enforcement officer drives down the street and sees an open investigation, that will give them cause to do an inspection, a targeted inspection. And then finally, a follow-up inspection. So if they've already completed a inspection and they need to come back and look at the job site a little bit more, conduct more interviews, they can do so with the follow-up inspection. So when an enforcement officer arrives at the job site and you notice that he is wearing a MIOSHA vest, or it may say MIOSHA on his hard hat, it's important that you stop all work. Make sure that by stopping all work that you're not creating a hazardous or dangerous situation for any employees that are on the site. Just safely stop all work and walk up and just talk with the enforcement officer. It's important to be respectful, just like you would to anyone else. If you show them respect, they will give you the same respect in return. So as far as having a safe area for the enforcement officer, if the job site is unsafe, you have to understand that the enforcement officer is not going to be familiar with the job site. So he may be in a hazardous area of the job site, and it's important to remove him from that area, explain to him why you're moving him, and ensure his safety at all times. Then verify the officer's credentials. You don't have to take anyone by their word. They will usually carry their credentials around their neck on a lanyard, so it'll be very visible and easy to read. And feel free to ask for their credentials. Also, they typically will show you the credentials when they make contact with you. We, as the employer, are required to provide the enforcement officer with any PPE they may need beyond the basic PPE ensemble with, such as hard hat, safety glasses, vest, and work boots. If there's any other, situation that, where the enforcement officer is going to be that requires additional PPE, we are obligated to provide them that. Also, you want to explain to the MIOSHA enforcement officer that that we do have a company policy for MIOSHA inspections. So that's making contact with your supervisor, and then also making contact with the safety department and allowing us the opportunity to go out there and be there with the enforcement officer while he conducts his inspection. And then finally, give the tailboard briefing to the enforcement officer, just like you would any other visitor that arrives on the job site. Make sure that you give them a complete briefing. You identify the hazards, the location of the nearest hospital, and any other pertinent information to ensure their safety. All right, just like we talked about before, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on what our company policy is on inspections. So the number one thing, all employees must stop working. So if it's around lunchtime, it's a great opportunity for the crew to go on lunch. Second, contact the safety and the general foreman. As I mentioned before, we like to be on site when any inspections do take place. Three, correct any issues immediately. Everyone should be doing what's right at all times, but we do understand that there are situations where maybe a ladder should have been in the hole and it didn't get in there yet, or there's any other piece of safety that is missing. correct it immediately. Don't act like it's not there. Don't hope that he doesn't see it. If you correct it on site, it shows him that you're aware of that is a safety rule and that it needed to be corrected, and it just was missed at that particular moment. And then lastly, provide the ETA of either the safety department or the general foreman, so the officer understands how long his wait might be. It has to be a reasonable amount of time. He's not going to wait hours upon hours for us to arrive, so you need to let him know how long it will be until either your supervisor or the safety department arrives on the job site. So a MIOSHA inspection is a very formal, standardized process that has to be conducted the same with any company on any job site. So he'll first start out with identifying what job site he's going to be conducting the inspection. He'll do the opening conference. So this is where someone from management or the safety department should be present, because he'll lay out, why exactly he's there. What areas of the job site he's going to be looking at, what type of evidence he might be collecting, how long he might need to conduct the inspection. Then he'll complete the walk around, so the formal investigation or inspection, and this is where he may take pictures to gather evidence, and in order to aid in his evidence gathering, he may pull out different tools and measuring devices. Next, he'll be completing interviews with any of the employees on the job site. And if management or the safety department is there, he may ask to do an interview with them as well. I'll get into more of that on the next slide. And then finally, the closing conference. So this is where he'll lay out, what his findings are, or if there are no findings and he's not planning on giving a citation, he'll give a couple areas to where, we might want to improve, because it's borderline, him giving a citation. So the interview process with an enforcement officer may seem, intimidating to some people, but all he's really just, conducting the interview for is to make sure that everyone on the job site knows what our safety program is, knows what particular plans we have, and just, make sure that, the employer that you're working for is providing you a clean, safe work environment free of all recognized hazards. So he may, conduct one interview with one single crew member, or he may do multiple. So when he conducts these interviews, he's going to ask to pull the interviewee off to a private area away from everyone else. So it's important, that you let them have their time to do that. Typically, they only take about 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not a great length of time. And the things that they'll cover, again, training topics, how often do you feel you get trained? Do you feel you get trained enough? And any other safety related questions. He's not trying to stump you. He's just trying to make sure that he knows that you are working for an employer who cares about your safety and is interested in doing the right thing. All right, so just a recap of everything that we discussed. Just make sure when the enforcement officer arrives to the job site, make sure everyone stops working and the job site is left in a safe condition. You want to make sure all crew is wearing all the required PPE, especially with the pandemic going on. Everyone needs to be wearing their mask. They should be anyways, but that's not a time for anyone to not follow that company policy. Don't ignore any issues on the job site. Simply fix them. Things might get missed. We understand that, but just fix them. Don't act like they're not there, or don't act like he may not see them, because he will. Make sure you contact the safety or a general foreman, supervisor to report the ETA of our arrival to the officer. He's going to want to know that, and he's going to want to know how long that he's expected to wait for. Keep conversations simple and limit talk about the company. So just like, you're talking to a police officer, you only want to give them the information that they're asking, and understand that everything that you're saying is going to be potentially used in any type of investigation or any type of citation or legal proceedings. And then finally, ensure the officer is given a briefing and actually signs on to our pre-job brief. Make sure they understand what the hazards are, what you're doing to control those hazards, where the nearest hospital is in the event of an injury or an incident on the job site. And we want him to sign on. There may be reasons why they may not want to sign on, and that's fine. Just provide them the opportunity to do so. So now we're going to review the COVID-19 work requirements. None of these should be foreign to you. We've been going through this for just over a year now. So everything that's mentioned here, you should already know. So surgical procedural masks, they need to be worn on the job site. They need to be worn correctly, and they also need to be worn, on the yard. So at the yard, we need to make sure that we're wearing our mask and that we're not having any large gatherings. Simply go in there, grab your materials that you need for the day, so that you can depart to your work site. Next is social distancing. This is very important. We're talking about the gatherings and how we need to limit those. Social distancing is important and needs to be maintained at all times. So that 6-foot distance needs to be maintained. We do recognize that there are certain tasks or jobs that have to be conducted throughout the day that may cause you to be within 6 feet of someone. In those situations, we want to limit those to only 15 minutes in a given day. So as long as it's less than 15 minutes, that's fine. Go ahead and conduct your work, but make sure you're masked up and make sure that any tools that you're using that are community use with the crew members on the job site, make sure that you're disinfecting those frequently. Also, vehicles, we want to make sure that we're disinfecting those throughout the day and before and after each use. If you are authorized to ride 2 in a vehicle, you will know if you have authorization to do so. Make sure that you're disinfecting before and after operating, and always wear a mask. There should be no employees together inside of a vehicle not wearing their mask. Also complete your health survey daily. Everyone should be doing that anyways. I know that we had some difficulties with this, just like when you're introducing anything new in a work environment. It's hard for people to remember to do that, but you need to remember to do that before you actually show up to work that day and before you're around people. And if you do give a yes response, make sure you let your supervisor know and be prepared for the safety department to call you to kind of look into why you may have chosen a yes response. And then finally, PPE supply, not just PPE, also disinfectant. We have everything that we need. If you are running low on any PPE or disinfectant or hand sanitizer or anything like that, please give us a call. We are happy to provide all that stuff to you. We have plenty of masks on site, also N95, so we can resume giving those out freely to conduct anything like saw cutting or anything that N95 is required. So in closing, I just want to take a brief moment to talk about the COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, it's not a requirement, but is highly recommended. In the state of Michigan, it is open to critical infrastructure workers, which you are. And if you need any type of documentation from us, for your appointment, feel free to ask us. If you have been vaccinated or you're planning to get vaccinated, please notify the safety department. We just want to keep a running tally of the amount of employees that we will have vaccinated. So, later on, we might be able to go to our customers and loosen up some of the current restrictions or requirements that we currently uphold. Next, keep a vaccination record with you if you have one. It's just good for your everyday life, but if you ever question on a job site or anything like that, that is a good piece of information to always keep with you. And then finally, we're towards the end of this COVID-19 pandemic. We want to make sure that we finish strong, so make sure that you're socially distancing, you're disinfecting frequently, hand sanitizing, and also wearing your mask. Finally, I'm going to show you a video. It is based in the UK, but it has a lot of really good information that might alleviate any concerns that you have about the speed in which the vaccine has come about, or any other concerns that you may have.
A lot of people have said they are concerned about getting a coronavirus vaccine due to the speed at which they have been made. Here are 5 reasons why people shouldn't be worried. Researchers have been able to tweak current vaccine technology to fight this new virus. Think about your mobile phone. If you have the latest model smartphone, it's made using tried and tested parts with a few updates. Developers don't go back and reinvent the mobile phone every time. Neither are researchers. Just as the technology you use has improved over the years, so has the technology used by researchers. This means things can take a fraction of the time than they did a decade ago. More time, knowledge, people and funding has been made available for coronavirus vaccine research, removing some of the barriers faced by researchers. Instead of reviewing the new vaccines when their trials are finished, the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, or MHRA, has been reviewing vaccine information when it becomes available. This means a decision on whether to approve a vaccine takes less time. And finally, but most importantly, we have to thank the thousands of volunteers who have taken part in COVID-19 vaccine studies so far. Recruiting participants for research can be the most time-consuming stage of a clinical trial, often taking months or even years. The NHS COVID-19 Vaccine Research Registry has made this process quicker and easier for study teams. Thanks to all the volunteers who have signed up to the registry and consented to be contacted about vaccine studies, recruitment can now take just a few weeks.